lightweight competitor Dan Hooker made serious accusations against Islam Makhachev. Dan Hooker boldly claimed on Twitter that Islam Makhachev had used illegal drugs. Makhachev was described by him as a cheating dog, and he claimed to have paid a nurse to give Makhachev N4, which was formerly a regular technique used by fighters to hasten weight loss recovery before limitations were put in place. Concerns expressed throughout Fight Week regarding Makhachev's capacity to adhere to the 155-pound weight limit served as fuel for Hooker's accusations. Here is Dan Hooker's tweets. Dumb thinks he can fly to Australia, hire a nurse to give him N4, and we won't find out. Cheating dog. In another tweet, Dan Hooker shared an image of an article that mentioned UFC's senior vice president of athlete health and performance Jeff Nowitzki's statement that the use of IVs could lead to a 2-year suspension. Hooker's charges weren't quite apparent at first, but he eventually acknowledged that he was speaking of Islam Makhachev. Islam is a cheat. He doesn't cheat, he doesn't win. In 2015, the UFC altered the regulations surrounding the use of IVs for post-weight cut rehydration. For infusions and injections are now restricted under the terms and conditions, even for rehydration, as stated in a list of prohibited items for the campaign. Fighters are deemed to be breaching the rules if they use IVs or injections in excess of the allotted amount, 50 milliliters per 12-hour period, per this regulation. For medical reasons, such as hospital treatments, surgical operations, clinical tests, and other situations when the use of IVs would be medically required, exceptions might be established. Israel Adesanya backs Francis Ngannou's choice to depart from the UFC. A former middleweight champion of the UFC, supports Francis Ngannou's decision to quit the organization and sign with a free agency. Ngannou left the promotion because of some unmet contractual obligations. Adesanya thinks Ngannou's demands were acceptable and commends him for standing up for the interests of other combatants. Francis made the right call. He's the one that kicked in the door. We've all been behind him. We've been saying this for how long? If you guys go back on the tapes, I've been saying the same thing. I'm not going to harp on about it, but he's right. It's little things. He's asking for things that should be mandatory. He wasn't asking for, crazy, ridiculous diva demands. There's something as little as for the guys fighting on the opening having the fourth or third corner man being paid for, and the hotel is being paid for. That sets them up nicely, and they don't have to work it out of their $10,000 and $10,000, or maybe even $10,000, to pay for their fourth or third corner man, little things like that. Francis Ngannou, who departed the UFC in January, claimed that he made a number of demands but that not all of them had to be granted in order for his contract to be renewed. These demands included things like the right to get sponsorships, representation for fighters, and health insurance for the fighter roster. Adesanya thinks these requests are reasonable and expects that further modifications will be made in the future. Thanks for watching. If you're a fan of MMA, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you never miss an update. Also leave a comment below with your thoughts on today's news. Keep supporting the sport, and we'll see you in the next one.